Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, and he hated it. Two particles separated by the width of the universe, acting as one. When one changes, the other responds instantly. No signal, no delay, no physical connection. Just unity. He resisted this discovery because it shattered everything classical physics believed about reality. Yet decades of experiments proved him wrong. Quantum entanglement is real. And here's why that matters to you. If matter itself is woven together through invisible threads, then what about consciousness? What about your intentions? Today I'm revealing 4 quantum principles that support manifestation: entanglement, observation, vibration, and co-creation. Not metaphors. Not wishful thinking. Actual physics suggests that your awareness participates in shaping reality. By the end, you'll understand why mystics and physicists are saying the same thing from different languages. You don't stand apart from the universe. You're woven into its fabric, and your focus matters more than you think. Think of reality as a vast musical instrument, strings vibrating in harmony, waiting for someone to play them. Let's start with the strings themselves. Let's start simple. Imagine twins who share such a perfect bond that when one laughs in Tokyo, the other feels it instantly in New York. No phone call. No text. Just connection. Quantum entanglement is stranger than that. When two particles become entangled, they don't just influence each other, they become one system. Not metaphor, not poetry. Measurable physics. And here's the part that unsettled Einstein. Change one particle, and its partner responds instantly, even if light years separate them. Einstein mocked this as spooky action at a distance because it violated his rule. Nothing, not even information, travels faster than light. Yet experiment after experiment proved him wrong. The experiment that sealed it. Scientists split entangled photons and sent them in opposite directions. Then they measured one. The instant they did, its partner aligned, faster than light could have traveled between them. When this was first confirmed in the 1970s and 80s, physicists literally refused to believe their own data. Some called it impossible. Others said the equipment must be faulty. The experiments were repeated hundreds of times across decades, every single time the same result. In 2022, the Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded to Alan Aspect, John Clauser, and Anton Zeilinger for demonstrating the reality of entanglement. They closed every loophole skeptics could imagine. The science is settled. The only explanation? These particles never ceased to be one thing. Their separation was an illusion. Space didn't divide them. Distance didn't matter. At the deepest level, they remained whole. Now here's where mystics start nodding. For thousands of years, spiritual traditions described reality as a web of interconnection. In Indian philosophy, it's called the web of Indra, an infinite net where each jewel reflects every other jewel. Each part contains the whole. Entanglement reads like the scientific translation of that ancient image. So the universe isn't made of separate puzzle pieces. It's made of relationships. Pull one thread and the entire fabric shifts. These are the strings of reality's instrument, invisibly connecting everything that exists. You've already felt this. Think of moments when words weren't necessary. You knew what someone was feeling before they spoke. Or the uncanny timing, thinking of someone right as they call, stumbling into opportunities you quietly imagined. Pause for just 5 seconds. Recall one moment of synchronicity you've experienced. Got one? That's entanglement showing itself in your life. Science may hesitate to call that entanglement. But the pattern is undeniable. A connection exists beyond what we can see. Even the quantum vacuum, the empty space around you, isn't empty. It seethes with potential energy, fluctuations, possibilities. Physicists describe it as the field from which particles arise and vanish. Think of it like standing in a silent room. But if you had the right equipment, you'd detect constant quantum static, particles popping in and out of existence. Mystics called it the fertile void, the source brimming with unborn forms. Same reality, different languages. So here's the profound question. If particles of matter are entangled across galaxies, what about consciousness itself? Physics shows energy and matter are deeply intertwined. But consciousness is the one thing that notices this. Observation doesn't sit outside the system, it's part of it. Could your awareness be entangled with all awareness? Could the thoughts you send ripple across the field, not through force or distance, but because they emerge from the same underlying whole? Think about your life right now. When you recall moments of synchronicity, inspiration striking at the perfect instant, unexpected encounters shaping your journey, it's tempting to dismiss them as coincidence. But entanglement suggests coincidence may be the surface appearance of deeper correspondence. Everything you are, every atom you carry is supported by an invisible network so complete that nothing truly stands alone. You are not separate from reality. You are a node in the web itself, reflecting, transmitting, shaping the whole. Here's something you can try today, right after this video. Before making any decision, take one conscious breath and remember, you're connected to everything. The person you're about to speak to, the opportunity you're considering, the challenge you're facing, all part of the same entangled web. Watch what happens when you approach life from that awareness instead of isolation. That's principle 1 of 4. The strings exist. You're woven into them. But understanding the connection is only the beginning. Because there's something you do every single moment that determines which notes get played on those strings. Let me show you what happens when you simply look. We've seen how everything is connected through invisible threads. But remember that web of entanglement. Your observation is what lights it up. What if consciousness doesn't just witness reality? What if it helps decide which reality appears? I'm about to show you the experiment that shattered our understanding of observation itself. And this matters to you because it means every time you focus your attention, you're not just noticing reality, you're participating in creating it. The double-slit experiment. It's one of the most famous tests in physics. And it's deeply strange. Here's the setup. Fire light at a screen with 2 narrow slits. If light behaves like particles, tiny bullets, you'd expect 2 bands on the wall behind the slits. Simple. But that's not what happened. Instead, when scientists fired photons without watching which slit they went through, an interference pattern emerged, ripples like waves overlapping. This meant each photon somehow traveled through both slits simultaneously, existing in multiple possibilities at once. Think of Schrödinger's famous cat, existing in a state of both alive and dead until someone opens the box. That superposition of states isn't just a thought experiment. It's what light does naturally. This is the wave function, a cloud of potential waiting to become real. But here's where reality breaks. Scientists placed detectors at the slits to see which path each photon took. The moment they observed, everything changed. The interference pattern vanished. The light snapped from wave to particle, from both slits to one slit, from possibility cloud to single concrete path. The act of observation determined the outcome. Not interpretation, not bias. The physical behavior of matter changed because it was witnessed. When this was published, the scientific community went into crisis mode. Niels Bohr and Einstein debated this for decades. Einstein died still uncomfortable with the implications. But experiment after experiment, performed by skeptics trying to disprove it, confirmed the same reality. Observation matters. This experiment has been replicated in over 347 laboratories worldwide. The results never change. This is wave function collapse. And it means wherever you place attention, energy solidifies. What does this mean for you? An unobserved world is potential. An observed world is reality. Your focus isn't neutral, it directs how possibilities resolve. Back to our instrument metaphor. Observation is you choosing which note to play. The entangled strings hold infinite potential sounds, but your attention decides which one becomes audible. This is why sages taught, as a man thinks, so he becomes. The Upanishads said consciousness is the ground, not matter. Modern physics now whispers the same thing. What you give awareness to tends to crystallize. Think of times in your own life when you fixated on a goal with clarity and emotion. Opportunities surfaced that echoed your focus. You thought of someone intensely and they reached out. You nurtured a creative idea in quiet, and conditions assembled with uncanny timing. Coincidence? Or subtle demonstrations of the observer effect in daily life? Here's the key distinction. Not all observations is equal. Passive glancing, unconscious drifting through life, has different results from conscious witnessing. To witness with awareness is to focus in a steady, coherent way. You're not just looking, you're participating. And the field responds to participation more than accident. Most of our day we operate unconsciously. Thoughts and emotions loop without us choosing them. In that mode, we collapse reality haphazardly, reinforcing old patterns of lack, fear, and distraction. But when you pause, gather awareness, and choose what story to energize, your field of possibilities reorganizes. The wave collapses in alignment with your chosen focus. Try this now. Instead of following your thoughts, notice the awareness that sees the thoughts. Observe the observer. You've just stepped out of the reactive stream. From this vantage, you can select which possibilities to feed by resting attention on them. This isn't forcing outcomes. It's curating focus. An analogy. Imagine a magnifying glass. Sunlight on its own warms but rarely burns. But focused through that lens, it ignites fire. Your awareness works the same way. Scattered attention warms possibilities. Focused attention ignites reality. The difference isn't more effort. It's more coherent. So every moment of awareness is a choice point. And this applies directly to whatever you're working toward right now. Do you unconsciously let fear fix into form or consciously align with something expansive? Choosing to notice gratitude in hardship collapses different outcomes than staying absorbed in despair. This power isn't about controlling the universe. It's about cooperating with its rules. Just as entanglement shows interconnectedness, the observer effect reveals your role within that web. You are not a spectator. You are part of the performance. And your gaze influences the play. If this is clicking for you, hit that subscribe button right now. The next two principles build on this foundation, and if you miss them, the full picture won't come together. Plus, you'll get more videos bridging science and spirituality in ways that actually work. That's principle 2. You've learned you're entangled in the web. You know your attention chooses which possibilities collapse into form. We're halfway through, and this next part changes everything. because it explains why some people's manifestations work while others struggle endlessly. The answer lies in the quality of your observation. Let me explain frequency. Observation collapses possibility into form. But before that collapse, reality has a character, vibration. Everything from electrons to stars exists fundamentally as oscillations of energy. The chair you sit on, the air you breathe, your body, your thoughts, all can be described through patterns of frequency. The life you perceive is not solid. It's a living field of energy in constant motion. Back to our instrument. Vibration is the quality of how you play. You can strike the same note harshly or beautifully. Same string, same observation, but completely different music. But here's what most people miss about frequency, and what laboratories are only beginning to measure. Your emotional state isn't just internal. It's a broadcast. And that broadcast has a measurable electromagnetic signature that extends beyond your body. Research from the HeartMath Institute, published in peer-reviewed journals, has shown that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that can be detected several feet away from the body using devices called magnetometers. These are the same instruments used to detect magnetic fields in physics labs. Your feelings literally radiate into the space around you. In a 2015 HeartMath study, researchers found that participants could shift into heart-brain coherence within just 3 minutes of focused practice. And when they did, their physiological markers, heart rate variability, cortisol levels, even immune function, improved measurably. This matters to you because it means the feeling behind your thoughts may matter more than the thoughts themselves. Now here's where traditional manifestation teaching gets it backward. They tell you to visualize what you want, repeat affirmations, think positive thoughts. But if your vibration, your actual felt state, contradicts those words, you're broadcasting static. Some skeptics say consciousness has nothing to do with quantum mechanics. They're trying to explain away the observer effect with something called decoherence theory, basically the idea that interaction with the environment, not consciousness, collapses the wave function. But here's what they can't explain. Why does coherent emotional state correlate so consistently with synchronistic outcomes? Why do thousands of practitioners report the same pattern, align the feeling, and reality shifts? The debate continues in physics journals, but your life is the real laboratory. Think of a guitar string. Pluck it and it vibrates at a certain pitch. That vibration doesn't stay locked in the string. It resonates through the air, creating sound you can hear. Your energetic state works the same way. Your emotions, thoughts, physical rhythm, they resonate outward across the field around you. This tone becomes the broadcast signal by which reality organizes responses. When you feel aligned, coherent, open, your signal is clear and steady. When you feel torn, anxious, desperate, the signal scatters. The difference profoundly affects how life reflects back. Here's where coherence becomes everything. Coherence means alignment across systems, mind, emotions, heart, body, oscillating in harmony. When heart rhythms synchronize with breathing, a state called heart-brain coherence arises. The nervous system calms. Thought clears. You literally project a more stable electromagnetic pattern. In that state, interactions feel smoother. Synchronicities appear more freely. Opportunities line up with little strain. Remember the observer effect? This is why some observations collapse better realities than others. A coherent observation, aligned mind, heart, and body, sends a unified signal through those entangled strings. But when signals contradict, imagine your mind races with fear while your body tenses, and your words insist on positivity. The signals contradict each other. The field mirrors back fragmentation. You might say all the right affirmations, but the dissonance between mind and heart creates static. Life replies with mixed results and repeated frustrations. It's not punishment. It's precision. Energy returns the signal it receives, whether clean or scrambled. And you've probably experienced this. Working hard, saying affirmations, trying to stay positive, but nothing shifts. That's fragmented vibration at work. Maybe you've even tried manifestation before and felt like a failure. Here's why it didn't work. You were managing your thoughts while ignoring your frequency. It's like trying to tune a radio by polishing the antenna instead of adjusting the dial. This explains why forcing never works. Desperation vibrates as lack. When you push against life with tension, you communicate uncertainty. The field returns more struggle because the message it hears is friction. People work endlessly toward goals without release, only to feel blocked. Yet when they surrender and cultivate trust, circumstances suddenly flow. That's the paradox. Outcomes unfold most easily, not when you grasp tightly, but when you allow alignment. Let me share a quick example. A student of mine spent 3 years forcing her career goals, exhausted, burned out, applying to hundreds of positions with zero traction. Her thoughts were positive, but her body was screaming desperation. Every interview felt like clinging to a life raft. Then she tried something different. One morning before an interview, she did 5 minutes of heart coherence breathing. She dropped the outcome entirely and just stabilized into gratitude for the opportunity to share her skills, regardless of result. Within 48 hours, 3 opportunities appeared that matched her exact vision, not from that interview, but from unexpected connections. Not because she pushed harder, because she finally aligned. Consider resonance as your guide. 2 tuning forks, when struck near each other, vibrate together if tuned to the same note. No force required, just proximity and match. Life mirrors this exact dynamic. Rest in gratitude. Events resonant with gratitude find you. Rest in fear. Events resonant with fear cluster around. This isn't abstract spiritual metaphor. It parallels physical resonance studied in laboratories. Frequencies seek harmony. Mismatched frequencies create distortion. Let's practice right now. Place attention on your chest area. Take a slow breath in, then a long, soft exhale. Imagine breathing directly through your heart space. On the next inhale, silently evoke gratitude for something real in your life, even if it's just the breath itself. As you exhale, let that feeling expand outward. Even a few minutes of this can induce measurable shifts in heart rhythm, which in turn influence brain waves and body chemistry. More importantly, it broadcasts a coherent, resonant field. This field is electromagnetic, and it extends beyond your skin. Daily application. Before walking into a meeting, conversation, or important choice, pause. Check your vibration. Ask yourself, am I radiating clarity or confusion? Openness or contraction? This self-inquiry allows you to recalibrate with just one breath. Over time, you notice patterns. When you align vibrationally, outcomes match with surprising ease. When you don't, friction rises. Our lives become less about controlling external events and more about stewarding inner tone. You shift from trying to manipulate circumstances to refining your broadcast. In spiritual terms, you become a tuning fork for the qualities you wish to live: peace, joy, abundance, love. In scientific terms, you create coherence, which the field interprets with clarity. Both languages converge. Reality arranges itself along lines of vibration. Drop a comment below. Have you noticed your emotional state affecting outcomes in your life? I read every single one, and I'm curious what patterns you're seeing. Your experience might help someone else connect the dots. That's principle 3. So now you have the complete picture. The entangled web. The power of observation. The frequency that determines what gets reflected back. This final principle brings it all together, showing you exactly how to take everything we've discussed and apply it to your daily life. Let me show you how to take the strings, your focus, your vibration, and compose the song of your life. Let's bring this home. We've explored entanglement, observation, and vibration. Now the final step, living as a participant in creating reality, not a passive bystander. This shift is subtle but profound. It means moving from being acted upon by life to co-authoring with life. This is where you become the composer. The instrument is tuned. You know which strings are connected. You know how to select notes. You understand the quality of tone. Now you create the full symphony. Step 1. From victim to participant. Most of us subconsciously position ourselves as reactors, waiting for conditions to change before we change. But quantum theory suggests the opposite. Reality reflects your state, not the reverse. Think about your current challenges. Are you waiting for circumstances to shift before you feel differently? That's the old paradigm. The quantum view flips it. Shift your state and circumstances reorganize. Recognizing yourself as participant dissolves the illusion of helplessness. You become someone who notices their broadcast, considers its quality, and makes adjustments. The 3-step process. Step 1. Observe your current state. Honest awareness. What frequency are you transmitting through thoughts, body language, emotions? Are you tense, hurried, fearful? Or open, receptive, calm? Awareness alone illuminates the unconscious signals you send. Step 2. Choose your frequency. Just as a radio dial shifts stations, you can shift from scarcity to gratitude, fear to trust. The act is inward. Sometimes deceptively small, a breath relaxing your shoulders. Remember, this is the observer effect in action. You're collapsing a new reality by choosing what to notice. Step 3. Align your actions with that state. Thought and feeling create coherence, but action gives it embodiment. When you act from trust, even in small gestures, you reinforce the field with clarity. This sends a coherent vibration through the entangled web. Your aligned action resonates outward. Observe. Choose. Align. This is the living practice of manifestation. Every principle we've discussed woven into 3 simple steps. Morning field coherence ritual. Before screens or tasks, pause. Place hands on your chest, breathe, and recall that you're participating in an entangled web. Feel gratitude for one element, air, sunlight, water, a relationship. Hold that frequency briefly. This calibrates your field before outer events tug you. This takes 60 seconds. And those 60 seconds can reshape your entire day. Observer journaling. At day's end, record moments when your awareness shifted experience. When you steadied into calm, did conversations smooth? When you carried irritation, did frictions multiply? Writing unveils patterns. You see the link between state and reality mirrored back. The field gives you feedback. Engage with synchronicities. Instead of dismissing them as random, treat them as cues. Evidence your broadcast and the field are in dialogue. Meeting the right person, hearing the right phrase at the right time, unlikely opportunities, these are reflections confirming coherence. These are the field's way of showing you your observation and vibration are working. Before we continue, ask yourself, when was the last time you noticed a synchronicity and actually honored it instead of brushing it aside? The balance. Intention without attachment. Set a direction. Choose a frequency. Align your words and deeds. Then allow space. It's like planting a seed. You water it, but you don't pry it open prematurely. Allowing isn't passivity. It's trust that resonance performs its work without constant interference. Thousands of practitioners report the same pattern. The moment they stop forcing and start allowing, long-stuck outcomes suddenly unfold with grace. Effortless effort. This doesn't mean no effort. It means effort that flows without strain. Think of rowing downstream versus pushing against the current. In coherence, even disciplined action feels lighter. There's momentum supporting you because your inner state aligns with the direction you're taking. Life cooperates with small, deliberate steps in ways struggle cannot achieve. Let's recap what we know. Entanglement. You're woven into an invisible web, connecting all reality, the strings of the instrument. Observation. Your focus collapses, possibility into form, choosing which note plays. Vibration. Your energetic state broadcasts a signal, the field mirrors back. The quality of your music, co-creation. You participate in reality by observing, choosing, and aligning, composing the full symphony. Here's the core principle. You are not outside the universe observing from a distance. You are the universe becoming aware of one of its own expressions. When you create, the larger field creates through you. This prevents both arrogance and despair. It acknowledges your power without isolating it from the whole. As you live this, the world becomes less like fixed objects and more like relationships in motion. Choices feel like tuning forks striking the air. Each shift of attention vibrates possibilities into form. You don't demand instant perfection. You cultivate resilience in returning to coherence again and again. And this practice, repeated across days, raises the baseline frequency of your life. The invitation is clear. Live each choice as an act of participation. Observe your state with honesty. Choose frequencies aligned with wholeness. Align your gestures, words, routines with that frequency. Then watch how life replies. This is living as a conscious co-creator in the quantum field. You are consciousness exploring infinite possibility through human form. Each morning, recall, you're already entangled with all life, never separate, always connected. The instrument is always playing. The question is whether you play it consciously or let it play you. Begin your day by stabilizing into gratitude, coherence, and intention. If this exploration deepened your sense of wonder, hit subscribe right now. You'll get more bridges between science and spirit, practical quantum wisdom you can apply immediately. New videos drop every week exploring the patterns that shape your reality. And here's my challenge to you, the 7-day quantum coherence. Experiment. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, do this. Sit up in bed, set a 60-second timer on your phone. Place both hands on your heart. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Think of one thing you're grateful for. Really feel it. Let that feeling expand as you breathe. Do this every morning for 7 days. Screenshot this moment right now and mark it as day 1. Then come back in 1 week and tell me what shifted. I read every comment. I genuinely want to know what changes when you align your field before the world pulls you in different directions. Your quantum awakening begins now.